the Code Pink Republicans, the Putinites within the Republican Party, will tell you there's something wrong with us, and I really want you to think about this. We now have a group within the Republican Party that embraces George McGovern's foreign policy, that embraces Code Pink's foreign policy. The so-called Make America Great but Blame America First crowd. So if we stand up for our rights under international law in navigable waters, and we stand up for our right to be in those navigable waters and to use a scientific drone, and if a nation like China violates international law in navigable waters and steals our technology right in front of us, then we're the ones provoking war. So we have the Blame America First, Make America Great crowd within the Republican Party. Absolutely incredible to me. They would never have done this with Ronald Reagan as President of the United States, because Reagan taught our enemies through action, not just words, that there were consequences. And you see, appeasement, isolationism, passivity in the face of evil, in the face of bullies, results in more provocations as they continue to test the outside limits of what it is that they want to do. Without firing a bullet, the Chinese have now conquered multiple nations and taken over international waters. Now, you've been led to believe that this country is so powerful, they're akin to the United States when it comes to their military. Well, they're getting there, because on the one hand, they're building in a frenzied state, and on the other hand, Obama's slashing at us at a frenzied state. But we can put an end to that. See, they have to steal our technology to build their weaponry. We invent our technology in order to build our weaponry. Same with the dictator Putin. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to see a Putin wing within the Republican Party. The Putin wing of the Republican Party has joined with the Republican establishment wing of the Republican Party. George W. Bush finally revealed himself after all these years of painting and whatever. And he called Bob Corker, the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, to lobby on behalf of his friend, the chairman and CEO and president of ExxonMobil, Rex Tillerson. The full court press is on. Bush, Baker, Cheney, Condi Rice, Gates. Finally, something unites the Bush crowd in foreign policy, which used to be at each other's throats. Not now. They got their man, Tillerson. Tillerson is a patsy for Vladimir Putin. Tillerson is a patsy for the Arab Gulf states because of oil. Tillerson is a grave threat to the nation of Israel as far as I'm concerned. And I might add, he's a grave threat to this nation for a number of reasons. Number one, he believes in the Paris Climate Accord. All this crap talk about American jobs. If you support this climate change accord, then you oppose our coal miners. You oppose our steel workers. You oppose our truck drivers. You oppose our oil men and oil women. And carbon taxes. There's nothing more radical and left-wing than that. And Planned Parenthood and all the rest. I'm going to be the canary in the coal mine here, ladies and gentlemen, so to speak. I'm the canary in the coal mine. There are certain things that are going to be done that you're going to approve of greatly, as will I. In areas of the economy and foreign policy that the ruling class either favors or doesn't care about, slashing taxes, slashing regulations, a strong attorney general, and so forth and so on. But let me tell you something. They are collaborating. The Bush Republican establishment, the Trump transition team, Reince Priebus and the RNC. They have collaborated and they're supporting in the major cabinet positions the same people. There's an article here that Donald Trump has been in constant communication with Chuck Schumer. More than any Republican. He talks to Chuck Schumer. Now, for those of you who have Trump-asms, this won't mean anything. You'll say it's 3 levels of chess and, keep your enemy close. I got it. I'm ignoring you. You should go somewhere else. But those of you who are thinking Americans, this should concern you. Donald Trump's closest advisor is his daughter, Ivanka. Ivanka has been calling Nancy Pelosi and other Democrats on Capitol Hill, as well as some liberal Republicans, to push the next great massive federal entitlement that we can't afford. Federal family leave. Something we've opposed from day one because we can't afford it. They're working Capitol Hill right now for $1 trillion. On a boondoggle called infrastructure spending. That's the price you and I have to pay for 80,000 votes, in Donald Trump's mind, out of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. $1 trillion. They have adapted the Republican establishment, Trump, and the Democrats. A trade policy that is dictated by big labor and Bernie Sanders. It is not patriotic. It is not patriotic. Protectionism and tariffs. That's not America first. That's big labor first. That's special interests first. That's crony capitalism first. That's corporatists first. It's amazing. This word nationalist. Told you I'm the canary in the cave here, in the coal mine. This word nationalist was popularized by the communist left and the progressives 100 and 120 years ago. The progressive intellectuals called themselves virulent nationalists. Virulent nationalists. Theodore Roosevelt talked about the new nationalism. His ideological mentor, Henry Crowley, who you've never heard of before, talked repeatedly about the new nationalism. Not the new federalism, not the new constitutionalism, not the new liberty. No. Nationalism, meaning national government, meaning national policies, meaning a national ubiquitous iron fist in every corner of the country. And people have deceived you with this word. They have deceived you with this word, nationalism, wanting you to believe it means patriotism and Americanism, when it does not. When it does not. Major new entitlement. Federalized family leave. Massive expansion of the power of government over our lives, over our businesses, over our jobs, over our refrigerators and dishwashers and dryers and automobiles and everything else. Climate change. The left has been promoting this for decades. First they tried global cooling, then they tried global warming, then they finally came up with a nomenclature that works. The agenda's the same. The agenda's the same. And you're going to be gravely disappointed. Gravely. So why we may well get a Supreme Court nominee we like, and why some of the cabinet may be among people that we like, and the more muscular positions that set policy for this nation from here for 100 years. We have almost no say. I know Mr. Tillerson's a businessman. He's the wrong businessman. He's the wrong businessman. People make excuses. We don't make excuses here. It's amazing to me. All the things that were said in the Republican primary to be negatives. We had a brutal attack on the Bush family. Now the Bush family loves the nominee for the State Department. They love the nominee for the Education Department. They love the nominee for the Transportation Department. Wow. How did that happen? The Bernie Sanders leftists who hate capitalism love the nominee for the Treasury Department. Love the nominee for the Commerce Department. Really? And yet, we have conservative think tanks that are giddy over all of it. Because they're at the table, you see. They have some say in what's going on in the second and third tier positions. So they're all giddy that they're involved. It's very exciting. So I point this out. Because I'm telling you 2 or 3 years in advance what others will tell you 2 or 3 years from now. And you'll realize it yourself. Even the propaganda that's used at some of these rallies, post-presidential election rallies, comes straight out of the Progressive Handbook. And the people writing these speeches, like Steve Miller, maybe Bannon, I don't know who else, they know it. The class warfare, claiming their economic plans are economic patriotism. Barack Obama used that phrase 3, 4, 5 years ago. Economic patriotism? Nationalism? Populism? Populism being the rally cry of the progressives 110 years ago? They rarely talk about constitutionalism. They almost never talk about federalism, do they? Almost never. They wrap their policies in patriotism, just like the left does. Almost never do you hear the words individual liberty. Individual liberty. No, you don't. Almost never do you hear the phrase private property rights. Why is that? Private property rights. Almost never is there a discussion about the massive debt, the dark cloud that hangs over this nation and your children and grandchildren. Almost never. It's a sad fact. Dick Cheney has lobbied very, very heavily Marco Rubio, telling him to tamp it down, be quiet, stop your criticism of our friend, the ExxonMobil chairman. George W. Bush swings in, calls Corker the sellout, friend of Trump. If you can see really big differences between the Republican establishment in Washington right now and the Trump transition, I'd like to know what it is. By the way, Obama had a Castro-like press conference today. It went on for an hour and a half. I'm going to get into that next. We'll be right back.